All right, let's talk about one of the most common questions we ask each other every single day. A question that seems simple on the surface, but is actually way more complicated than we think.
I mean, really, think about it. Why'd you sell your car? Why did you vote that way? Hey, why'd you tell that joke? Our whole lives were basically swimming in a sea of asking for and giving reasons for everything we do.
But here's where it gets tricky. When someone asks you why, what are you really giving them? Are you giving them a solid justification? Or maybe just an excuse? Or are you telling them the personal nitty-gritty motive that was actually driving you? That one little word, reason, is doing a ton of heavy lifting here.
But there's a tool that can help us cut through all that confusion. Philosophers have been wrestling with this for centuries, and they came up with a really powerful way to make it all make sense. They basically split the idea of a reason into two different kinds.
And here it is. This is the whole ball game. On one side, you have what are called normative reasons. Think of these as the justification, the good, solid reasons that exist out there in the world as facts. Then, on the other side, you have motivating reasons. These are the drivers. They're the things that are literally in your head, the psychological push that makes you act.
So let's zoom in on normative reasons first. The philosopher T.M. Scanlon put it perfectly. He said it's simply a consideration that counts in favor of an action. In other words, it's the objective, factual case for doing something. It's the reason you should do it.
Now, a motivating reason? That's a whole different beast. This is the thought that was actually in your mind, the one that was steering the ship. It's not about what you should have done, it's about explaining why you did what you did. It's your personal why.
Okay, let's start with those good reasons, the normative ones, and see how they actually work out in the real world.
Here's a great example. Imagine a government is thinking about putting a tax on sugary drinks. The fact that this tax will almost certainly reduce child obesity, well, that's a powerful normative reason. It's a fact about the world that supports the policy, and it's true no matter who is proposing it or what their personal agenda might be.
So the key takeaway here is that normative reasons are objective. They're rooted in facts, totally independent of our own minds or what we might want.
All right, so we've got the objective, good reasons down. Now let's switch gears and talk about the reasons that are actually rattling around inside our own heads, our motivating reasons.
Let's go back to that sugar tax. Let's say a politician pushes it and it passes. Great, right? But what if her motivating reason had absolutely nothing to do with public health? What if the thought that actually drove her was, this policy is going to make my husband's low-sugar drink company a fortune? You see, she did the right thing, but for a completely different and pretty shady reason.
And this gap between the good reason and your reason, well, it can get even wider. It can even become tragic. Let's look at a classic example where a motivating reason is based on a complete and utter lie.
If you know Shakespeare's Othello, you know he's just consumed by jealousy. He's motivated to kill his wife, Desdemona, based entirely on the belief that she cheated on him. That belief is the engine driving his terrible action.
And this is where that sharp divide becomes so clear. Othello's motivating reason was the thought in his head that she was unfaithful. But the normative reason, the good, factual justification for his action, there wasn't one. None. Zero. Because Desdemona was innocent. There was no fact in the world that could possibly justify what he did.
And this is such a crucial point. A motivating reason can perfectly explain why someone did something. It gives us the psychological story, but it doesn't even come close to justifying it. Explanation is not justification.
So, why does all this matter? I mean, is this just a fun game for philosophers?
No way. This distinction gets right to the heart of how we judge actions and how we judge people. It's about praise, blame, and something we call moral worth. Let me just ask you this. Is it enough to just do the right thing to be a good person? Or does the why behind your action matter even more?
Look at this, it lays it out perfectly. You've got two people. They do the exact same heroic thing. They both save a child from a burning building. The first person is motivated by the simple thought, the child's life matters. That's a clear, good, normative reason, and we find that deeply praiseworthy. But the second person, they do the same thing, but their motivating thought is, I'm going to get so much praise and maybe a reward for this. They did the right thing, but it feels totally different, doesn't it? The action just lacks that moral worth, all because the reason was wrong.
So the big takeaway is clear. The very same act can be judged in completely different ways, and it all comes down to the motivating reason. Our internal why is what gives our actions their moral weight.
And that's why separating these two types of reasons isn't just a mental exercise. It's a really powerful tool you can use to think more clearly about your own choices and maybe to better understand the sometimes confusing behavior of everyone around you.
So I'll leave you with a final thought. The next time you make a choice, big or small, just ask yourself 2 questions. First, what's the good normative reason for this? And then, be honest, what's the motivating reason that's actually driving me right now? The answer might just surprise you.